Welcome to It's All Fine and Anjee, where we talk about community, health, culture, and all of the big and little things that make life good. Here are your hosts, Dan and Anjee.
All right, we're in episode 7.
777.
And that's Bill Files in the introduction there, as I know I've said before, but he's going to be on the podcast next month. And I'm really excited to finally have him on. He's also looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll actually get to speak with him for more than a millisecond.
I know. I started to say put a face to a name, but you have met him before.
Yeah, I think I saw him.
Yeah.
It was so fast. I wanted to be able to talk to him more, but we were busy that day.
That's right. It was in the lobby when we were leaving the radio station that day.
Yep.
I also wanted to announce that we're going to start doing a Facebook Live recording every week on a regular schedule at a regular time. So we're going to do it every Tuesday night at 8. There may be a few exceptions where we can't do it, like last week when I was in Houston, or I should say last Tuesday this week when I was in Houston. But for the most part, we're going to do it at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, so you can count on that for the most part. And if you don't see a post or an announcement about it, chances are you can just tune in and we'll be here.
Yeah.
So hope to see you there.
We like doing it. That's why we're making it a regular thing.
That's right. So you can watch us at Facebook. Just go to our Facebook page. It's Fine and Anjee, Danjee.
Get it in there.
And if you miss it live, you can always go back to our Facebook page and watch it later. So we'd love to have you do it live so you can actually chat with us, and we'll chat back with you during the broadcast.
It's really fun.
It really is fun. Yeah. So we got that worked out now, and it worked out really well.
It's like your
last
eyes are going. Well, I can't really see it because you look at the TV screen, but then you're calling people out basically when they make a comment. So then I can kind of interact too.
Yeah,
so
I wish there was a way for it to be on both sides of the room at the same time.
I know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out some system.
Yeah.
So we are still in Alt Med month. So we have a super cool guest coming up on the next segment here.
That's right.
But this month we're actually going to do 2 special bonus podcasts, because what we're finding is that we have these great themes, but then maybe we meet somebody where they have a cause or something right now.
It's timely.
That's timely.
Yes.
And so we're going to go ahead and include bonus episodes for things like this. So,
after school specials?
Yeah, kind of.
All right.
Kind of something like that. So look forward to those 2 coming up. Just in this month, we have an extra 2.
I know.
So it's crazy.
I'm excited for that.
And then I wanted to say congratulations to the Mother's Day giveaway winners. And we're bad about announcing winners, so we are making sure we're going to do it from now on.
I don't even know
in our notes.
I don't know if people want us to announce, but I agree. We've been remiss in doing that.
Well, we won't read the stories. We'll keep them private.
Right.
But we had some really good stories that came in.
I'd loved it.
And so our 4 winners, because we had 4 giveaways, were Michelle, Heather, Mindy, and Steve. So all of them got are gonna get the salt therapy session cards.
Yep. They probably don't have them yet, but they
not yet.
Well, wait a minute. Yes, they would by now.
Should have had it.
So they will have them by now.
And then one of them gets the salt lamp and the salt therapy card.
That's right.
So, yeah. And what else is going on?
Actually, I think 2 people ended up getting a salt lamp after all.
Oh, yes. I think they did. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I forget things.
That's okay.
So for this and that, what's been going on this week? Well, last week we talked about how kitchen remodel started.
Yes.
So that's in full swing still.
Yes, it is.
Craziness.
We're gonna make it in full swing till 2020, I think.
No, we're not. Because the next time, I told you, the next time that I say, we're just going to do it ourselves. No. You better stop me in my tracks. We better just save up and hire somebody.
I so agree. I think part of it's been fun, but I'm kind of done with it. I think you are too.
Yeah, I'm over it. I'd rather focus on this and, getting out and more involved in the community. And
Me
that
too.
keeps us in the house a little too much for my comfort.
We're so close.
Yep. So today's Thursday. So this weekend coming up, we have the Bags of Hope event. And she does Bags of Hope, Central Florida, Rhonda, and Mark. They do that once a month where they go and host that big event.
Right.
And we liked it so much last time that we're going to go help out. And you're going to do a little videoing and stuff like that for them.
Right.
And I did want to announce anybody that wants to get involved and help out with that event. If you have questions, please email or call us.
Yes.
And I'd be more than happy to share a little more details. And I would love to collect items to take with me. Farmers market items, so fresh fruits and veggies would be my most preferred thing because a lot of the people in this community don't have access to a lot of fresh fruits and veggies. But if you have other things you'd like to donate, like other food items or things that you just don't need anymore that you
books,
think,
even?
or books, things that you don't need that you think somebody else could use. Okay. So if you have any donation items, please let me know. This will be a once a month thing that I'll keep posted on the Facebook as well that we will collect. And even if we can't make the event, we will drop these items off to Rhonda and her team so that they can disperse it to people that are in need.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And one quick thing on that, if you don't want to call us and you don't want to email us for information, on episode 2 in the information station page of our website, there's a link to Bags of Hope, and they'll tell you everything about it as well.
And even if you just want to be anonymous and do a monetary donation to them, whatever you want to do, walk the talk. Help more people.
That's right.
Right?
I keep saying that's right. I'm
that's
trying so hard.
But that's like your key word. Everybody has a word that they use all the time, and that is yours.
That's right.
That's right.
I just did. That was sincerely not even trying to do that as a comedy.
I
just
know,
then.
but I love it.
It's like It's like a tick.
Yeah. So what's up with you?
So not a whole lot to announce for this and that. A lot of work this week.
Yeah,
so
you've been super busy.
Not a whole lot of. I'm not going to sit here and talk about work or day job work. You and I did start that movie on Netflix, Triple Frontier.
Yes.
Really good. We had to stop in the middle because we got busy, and that's about how our time usually works. Mm-hmm. But it's like Ben Affleck and the guy from Sons of Anarchy and the guy from
Ex Machina.
I think it's Ex Machina. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Or Ex Machina.
I don't know. It's a great movie.
I think it's Latin or something. That is one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
But that guy, the bald guy in it, I can never remember his name, but he's in Triple Frontier as well.
Yeah, really good so far.
Super intense. Super intense.
I had my stomach cramping up. I was like, oh my gosh.
And last week, while I was working from home one day, Angie's in the kitchen and she's nailing the baseboards into down around the like at the bottom of the wall around the kitchen. And I hear her go, something's in the wall. I hear something in the wall. No, she said, I hear something in the wall. And the first thing, just for you guys listening, I'm just going to go silent for a minute and give you a second to think. What would you think if you heard someone go, I hear something in the wall? That's exactly right. What you just thought, rats. That's what I thought. So I go tiptoeing out the door, and then I hear her go, oh my gosh. And I look out, and there's a little tiny stream of water shooting across the entire house.
It was little tiny?
Well, it was a tiny in diameter. It was about the diameter of a pencil.
It was so powerful, though.
But it was so powerful. It was shooting across the kitchen all the way into the dining room. She nailed a nail into an old copper pipe that was in the wall. And it was
I'm Wonder Woman. That's why.
I need to post the security footage on our Facebook wall, or not? Yeah, on our.
Some people saw it already.
Yeah, I did it on my own Facebook.
Glad that they all could be entertained.
It was hilarious. In retrospect, the funniest part is that, of course, when Angie does this, she goes straight into action. She runs outside, starts turning off the water. But me, you can see me go back and forth across the house, and then I run back and look at it like it's going to magically go off, and then it was really, really funny. But anyway, we got it taken care of. It wasn't a big deal at all, but it was very, very funny.
No,
so I'll have to post that for sure.
Don't tell everybody I cried.
Well, you just did.
I did.
I know. But
I was very upset. I was very upset that I did something so silly.
It was totally fun, and you couldn't really have avoided it. And in retrospect, it's something funny we can talk about now.
We're still together after all this construction stuff. You know what they say about that, right?
I know what they say about it. They say that up next on the community call out, we have an awesome guest related to alternative medicine. So we really hope you guys stay tuned for that. We're going to take a quick break, and that's it for now. So we'll be right back.
We eat very clean here at our house, but that doesn't mean that we don't crave things like chocolate chip cookies, brownies, muffins, or countless other baked goods. I can say that our cravings have been satisfied with the Paleo Bakery treats. We get to have healthier versions of our favorite sweet treats that fit into the way we eat. Things like paleo guiltless donuts, organic blueberry cobbler, and almond butter delish cookies help to satisfy our sweet tooths. And here's even more great news. All of these treats are gluten, grain, dairy, and soy-free. You can find out more about what the Paleo Bakery has to offer at www.thepaleobakery.com or check them out at Facebook at The Paleo Bakery and on Instagram at The Paleo Bakery Treats. When placing your order, make sure to tell them that you heard about their guilt-free treats from It's All Fine and Anjee.
Hey guys, so we are back and it is time for our community call out.
That's right. And our community call out this week continues with the theme of the month, and that is alternative medicine. And today we're going to continue talking about different ways to improve and maintain your health. And specifically today, a fascinating alternative form of medicine. And here to tell us all about it is Dr. Omar Haye. He's an MD and acupuncturist, the owner and founder of Healthy Livered Acupuncture. So welcome, and it's great to meet you.
Hey, thanks for having me. I met Anjee before.
That's right.
My first time meeting you.
Yes,
and
sir.
I heard a lot of good things about the podcast.
Oh,
and
yay.
I'm excited to be here and be a part of the process.
All right. We're excited to have you.
And you're a first timer.
I am. It's my first time being involved in anything this cool. You know, I've never done a
wow.
podcast before. I feel kind of hip right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It is hip, right?
It is.
Podcasts are the thing right now.
They really are.
Definitely are. So as we get started, just tell us a little bit about you and about your background.
Okay. I'm a regular MD, and I was commissioned Army officer. So I was kind of traveling the country, stationed out of Fort Sam Houston in Texas. And I was reviewing hospitals, clinics, shooting ranges. That sort of patient population is all active duty. Very unique set, you know? And their public health needs were optimal. We're getting ready for deployments, guys coming back from deployment.
Right.
It was a great job, too,
Sure.
you know? I'm from a military family. I was living the dream.
Of course.
And I got injured. I got hurt pretty badly. It's the military. Things happen. And I was in physical therapy for about 7-8 months, trying to avoid surgery. I feel like
course.
surgery is
It's a
the
long
last
time
result.
to be in physical therapy.
It is. And I got frustrated.
Yeah,
After
of
7-8
course.
months of something, you know?
Yeah. And I agree with
like,
you.
come
I
on,
would
let's
think
make it-
surgery is like last resort, right?
I feel like it is. I feel like that sort of invasive procedure should always wait till you're just out of options.
That's right.
And being a good husband, my wife told me to go see her acupuncturist. And I said, yes, ma'am. And I went, and the guy changed my life.
Wow.
That's
He got me
amazing.
about 25% better in the first treatment.
Wow.
Yeah, went on for about 6 months.
Right.
And when I came back from the first time, I was like, how did you do that? You know, like, what did you do?
That
Wow.
scientific mind of yours was like, what's going on here?
Exactly. I was like, how did you do that? He said, well, you go Google it, come back, and then we'll talk. They want to see if I was committed, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I went on Wikipedia, and acupuncture on Wikipedia looks like Hogwarts. It's
Does
just,
it? Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
just magical elements and
All over the
nonsense.
place.
Yes, everywhere. So I came back the next day, and I said, this makes no sense. I know you went to a school somewhere, and someone sat down and taught it to you. Tell me how you did it.
Right.
And then he explained it. And I was about 31, 32 at the time. And I
Right.
got really inspired. And I resigned my commission
Oh,
about
wow.
18 months, maybe a year later. And I enrolled in school in Orlando, studied acupuncture for 3 years, took a year to take off for my board exams, got out. And now I'm working. Yeah.
Wow.
Out here in the community.
So what is, forgive me here, but what does that mean, a commissioned?
Yes, commissioned. There's two types of Army officers.
Okay.
You're commissioned and you're non-commissioned.
Right.
And your non-commissioned leads your enlisted man or woman.
Okay.
And the commission is someone who's been given authority by Congress, the act of Congress.
Right.
And they start on the path toward being one day a colonel or a general. And those are your officers, and they lead your enlisted group.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's
Never knew that.
it's a big
You're educated
deal.
today.
Yeah. Well, that makes it even a bigger deal to me that after you went, you switched gears like that.
That's a big decision to make too. So that
course.
means
Yeah.
whatever it is that you learned, You were really committed to it
Yeah.
because of the change you saw personally. So you answered my question, is what made you choose acupuncture.
Right.
So you told the story. I mean, it was you personally that this happened to, that you saw a change. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Anjee is as you know, because you know her from school, she's the smarter of the two of us, especially when it comes to, medical stuff and health stuff. And I rely on her heavily for helping me with that stuff too. But many people don't understand or have misconceptions about traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. Can you give us a brief explanation of it? That might be a little tricky, but
Okay.
I think just for the layman, I guess, to understand exactly what it is, because I did a little research before our interview here, and I'm not 100% clear either. So we were
course.
talking about the Wikipedia thing. I'm sitting here shaking my head like, yeah, I know what you mean.
And he saw the last book of the Principles of Acupuncture, 1,300 pages.
Oh, yeah.
That I had.
Right.
Pure Confucius ideas.
It's wildly
Really
interesting
cool.
to me.
Really cool.
And
But a lot of info.
Yeah, I agree. And I 100% believe in it. I've done it. I've had it done.
Awesome.
But I don't necessarily fully understand what it is.
Okay. The basic concept is that on our bodies, we have pathways. Picture like I-4.
Right?
1,000 little I-4s rolling across your body.
Sure.
And qi, which is energy, and blood flow on these pathways to your inside organs, to your skin, to your eyes, to all parts of your bodies.
Now, is this like your nervous system you're talking about?
Very similar. A lot of the more modern Western research likens these pathways to something very similar to the nervous system.
Right.
And when you get an injury, emotional or physical, there's a blockage on your roads, the car accident on I-4. So we have to go in, move those cars out of the way, and get traffic flowing again. And that's how we fix people in acupuncture.
Even emotional.
Emotional, yeah. I was hesitant to believe that because my background was very straightforward, wasn't very deep into my emotions.
Very scientific, right.
Very scientific, military-minded and all that.
Right.
But through my trial and error in clinic, I was taught that you can fix emotional problems that manifest as physical problems and then take care of both at the same time.
Wow.
It's pretty cool,
Wow,
right?
I did not know that. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So what do you find most interesting in traditional Chinese medicine? And if you had one thing that you had to focus on studying for the rest of your life,
Good question.
what would it be?
Okay. The most interesting thing for me is, we kind of talked about it for like 5 seconds, the emotional component. The emotional component is overlooked so much because we're a whole vessel. We're not just psychiatry in one house and then cardiology in another.
Right.
We're all together. And a bad day affects how you feel. A common illness people have is irritable bowel syndrome.
Right.
It's basically a collection of symptoms with your tummy. And you have all sorts of problems.
Sure.
And there's no, in Western medicine, there's no real cure. But in Eastern medicine, in acupuncture, we learned that it's emotionally driven. It's frustrations. It's sadness. It's all these issues. And that causes these symptoms of, intestinal distress.
Wow.
That's one of the most fascinating things because I was so against it at first. And now I'm a 100% believer.
And so
Changed
you have
your mind, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So you guys have, this is probably a silly question too, but you've seen instances where that kind of thing is resolved by acupuncture?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Because of my background, my approach is very direct. People usually think that I'm more of a direct treater. I won't touch your emotions.
Right.
But I will. Because I feel like even if I'm touching your shoulder, there might be some grief from a loss years ago. If I'm touching your knee, you might have some frustration about how last month went. And if I don't touch that, if I only do physical and I ignore your emotional being, I won't get a complete healing treatment for you.
Wow.
And you'll be like, oh, I only feel a little bit better. I don't feel totally resolved. I'm like, no, I got to touch every part, not just the physical, the emotional part. And that was big for me because I didn't believe in any of that.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, it's very...
I mean, it makes sense to me. And I'm not really, historically, I think I'm more like you, very science-driven.
Yeah.
But I would say probably in the last 8 or so years of my life, I've become more, I almost want to say metaphysical, where I think there's more to it than just what we can see.
Totally.
Well, when we talk about the gut, you think about that. When you get really upset about something, your stomach hurts. You know what I mean? If something's bothering you, you can have gut issues. If you can have the gut feeling, people say go with your gut. So there is something to it that cannot be denied.
That's that whole second brain thing they talk about.
Yes.
New studies are linking our emotional health to the gut flora that we have growing inside of us. And changes in that can affect your mood and behavior. I mean, now we don't understand exactly how it's working, but we know there's some sort of connection.
With your gut and your happiness. That's why after we have tacos on Tuesday, I'm so happy.
So crazy.
Perfect.
But in all seriousness, you're a medical doctor and a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. You kind of described this already, but having sort of the approach of both, do you find that affects the way you treat patients because you're looking at it from both directions at the same time?
I find that it does. I find that my approach is to meet somewhere in the middle, because the Eastern approach is fantastic. The Western approach is fantastic, but they're best working together.
Right.
I agree.
And kind of our society, the West is a little standoffish with the Eastern side.
Yes.
And the Eastern side feels a little standoffish with the Western side.
Yes.
Yep.
And the thing is, to get the best treatment for the patient, which is our goal, we should be open to every idea.
Yes.
So if the best option is a Western course of treatment, let's do it. Like if you get hit by a car, do not come to your acupuncturist office. Don't come to my office and you get hit by a car.
That's right.
All right, you call the ambulance.
It's not time for the chiropractor, the acupuncturist, or the massage therapist. It is time to go to the hospital.
Do not call your massage therapist. You get hit by a car.
Of course. Great advice.
Go to the emergency room.
I think though, for me, like even my my regular traditional doctor, not necessarily traditional Chinese medicine, but I'm starting to see, and you being in the field may see this as well, but I'm starting to see more, what seems like more suggestions for natural remedies first. And at least to me, that's the sign of a good doctor versus, 2 steps in, what pharmacy do you go to kind of just thing like that. And I love that change because it seems more like that holistic approach that comes with alternative medicine. Do you have any specific success stories, whether it's personal or about patients, that you'd like to share?
Yeah, of course. I removed the names to protect the innocent.
There you
go. A patient has a neck pain, like a pulled muscle in the neck, and it comes from coughing, like chronic coughing.
Wow.
Coughing.
Some serious coughing.
18 months of straight coughing.
Oh, my goodness.
Been to everyone. Been to pulmonologist, primary care, ER, and no one knows what's wrong with them. There's nothing that you can look in an x-ray and see what's wrong. The most they found was 2 opaque spots on his lung, but they appear to be totally fine. Nothing's there.
Wow.
So I treat his neck, and I'm like, well, what have you been coughing for 18 months? That's not normal. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, it's been going on. I had the flu. I'm gonna get through it. And in Chinese medicine, the lung is the organ of grief. Every organ has an emotion.
Yes.
In his case, I was thinking, okay, his lung has been coughing for 18 months. His lung must be weak. Underlying issue is probably something with grief, right? Even if I treat his neck and it feels great, he's still going to be coughing for another 18 months. So we started talking about his life, grief, what's going on. And he'd had a loss in his life that he had never really dealt with. He was an older gentleman, older guy, and he just had never been to a therapist for this, or never talked it out with his family, never had time to deal with it. And we talked through it. And I'm not a therapist, so I was like, in addition to this, go get a therapist, right? The license on the wall, and go pay someone some more money. And I also treated the organ and the emotion for the organ with these specific points.
Right.
And in about 3 weeks, he says the best he felt in his life. Cough is resolved. And the 2 mysterious spots on his lung, the primary care called him and said they're gone. I don't know what happened, but keep doing whatever you're doing.
No,
and he's a happy guy. Great guy.
I love that. So you probably have a lot of experiences like that.
I have so many. That's probably a couple months ago. So that's one of my most recent ones.
So that's got to be one of the more fulfilling things about your job.
It is giving people a second chance to appreciate the time they have. You know, like a chance to really get out. You're low on energy. Let's get you up. Let's get you out. You can visit with your kids. Spend time with your loved ones, give you another couple of years of life to enjoy it. And that's the best part of my job for me.
Wow.
And I noticed that you said he had been to all these different, conventional doctors, and they couldn't figure anything out. And here we saw a difference with acupuncture, with treating acupuncture. So it couldn't have just been in his head because
Correct.
he wasn't sharing that loss that he had. That was
Right.
through you being a good doctor and questioning and talking.
It's a big part.
And you pull it out.
Yeah.
Pull it
you
out of
have
the
to.
person.
Yeah, take time to listen to the patients.
Yes. Very cool.
I think also you said it's giving them more time with their family, more energy and all that, but also to me, making them more aware of the importance of your emotional state because
Yeah.
old school, that's,
Yeah.
especially you're coming from military, but old school from my thinking even was suck it up, work
Yeah.
it out.
Be a man. That's
Be a man. We're not going to deal with it.
Right.
Even if you weren't a man,
Right.
suck it up.
Time is
Life
tough,
is hard.
Yeah.
Don't cry.
And historically, I never would have associated a physical thing with an emotional thing. So that's really interesting.
Yeah,
Me
that's
neither,
cool.
but yeah, I'm all in now.
That's great.
So, what changes have you seen in the medical community when it comes to the use of more alternative forms of medicine, especially related to acupuncture?
I think Dan was right. I think more MDs are open to the concept because the patient, the people, everyone, they are more open to the concept because they feel I'm just not the voice for everyone, but I'm getting the sensation that people are kind of getting burnt out with the lack of results in Western medicine.
Yeah.
They're tired of the pills and surgery for everything. And they're kind of like, there has to be a better way. Just like how I came into it, I will do anything to avoid the surgery. Needles in my arm, whatever, sign me up.
Right.
And I think people are open to that now. And now physicians are starting to adapt to the patients and saying, hey, you want another option? Try this herb. I know an acupuncturist. Massage therapy might just get that tension out of your neck.
Right.
Working
You know?
together.
Exactly.
Changes in diet.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Change your diet. Get
We
away
know
from the
that's my
processed
field.
food.
Yes.
Exactly. Right. As Angie's goal, change that diet.
It's very encouraging to hear that's your perspective from, being a doctor, because that's kind of my perspective. But to hear that you see or feel a shift happening, that's super encouraging to me because, if you look back at Western medicine, it almost has become such a business of get you sick by eating the bad food, give you the pill. It's like a perfect circle as far as
Never ends.
a never ending circle of
Income.
monetization for somebody.
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah. I have a master's in healthcare administration.
Oh, wow.
I didn't understand. Picked up in the Army because it's the Army, right?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't understand the business of medicine when I came out of medical school.
Oh, yes.
I was just like, treat patients, and I was all hugs and feels and,
Right.
And I go in there and they're talking straight numbers.
Of course.
How many times can you sell the same box of Kleenex in a room?
Yeah.
It's 9, if you want to know.
Wow.
You can charge it 9 to 9 different patients, even if they never touch it.
Wow.
It takes about 9 patients before the turnover in the Kleenex box has to be removed. That's 9 charges in the same box. Like, I learned stuff that was very disheartening.
I was going to say, it's hard not to
Especially
get.
when you're coming out of school so eager to help.
Of course.
And then it's like a sledgehammer. It's like that game that you used to hit the moles.
Oh, whack-a-mole. or something.
Whack-a-mole?
Yeah.
It's like, nope, sorry.
On all your dreams. Just
Bam.
Yes.
There you go. And so we talked about how acupuncture is changing or in the medical community. What about in the military? I know that the VAs are starting to use acupuncture, correct?
The military's put their arms all the way around it.
Wow.
All the way around.
That's super encouraging.
My father was the chief of gastroenterology for Orlando VA, the original Dr. Haye, right? And when I first told him I was becoming an acupuncturist, he did not know what I was talking about. He was like, I don't know about this plan.
Right.
And then he got into it and he learned about it. He's a full-fledged believer now. And he sends his patients to acupuncture.
Yeah.
And they teach the nurses battlefield ear acupuncture to help with PTSD. Like, that patient population is very specific. And a lot of our guys have PTSD,
Of course.
And they need the treatment. And sometimes as veterans, we're a little standoffish.
Of course.
with people.
There's a lot of pride in there. Of course.
A lot. And then with the ear acupuncture, you don't have to change into a gown. You don't have to be vulnerable in any sense. Just I come, or one of our wonderful VA nurses comes and just puts the points in your ear and you're done.
Wow.
And it works great for the vet population. So the military
That's
has
awesome.
gotten all in on it.
And they're
which is
seeing great
amazing.
results.
Yes, fantastic results.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you what changes you'd like to see in the future. It sounds like they're happening.
Yeah.
Is there more changes you'd like to see, or is it?
The one thing I like to see more of is maybe a little more of the insurance covering.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Because, the cost of healthcare in this country has gotten wildly out of control.
Yes.
And
Impractical. It's
completely impractical.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of alternative medicines are cheaper and as effective.
Yes.
And sometimes more effective, depending on the situation.
That's been my experience. Yes.
And if there's a way to help people subsidize how they get these treatments, as opposed to saying, hey, let's get a $10,000 hip replacement.
Right.
Or we could just had like $500 for an acupuncturist, $500 for a massage therapist, and you'd probably be okay.
Right.
Right. But to get that system redone with its already pre-existing problems, I don't know how you would do that. That's high above my pay grade. That's a Obamacare conversation. I don't know.
Right.
But that's the one thing I like to see, a way to get it out in front of more people at a more affordable rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people should have more control over the plans they choose. So not everybody is going to want to go to a more alternative form of medicine, but there should be a package for that. Is how I feel.
And I'm in total agreement with you that I don't know the system on the back end. That's someone else's pay grade. I agree. But I think it seems like, just using logic, which may not apply here, but it seems that because alternative medicine and almost every form I have seen or heard of so far is less expensive, it seems like a win-win for insurance companies because it's less for them.
You would think so.
Yeah.
You would think so. But
there's partnerships in there too.
Deep partnerships.
Yeah.
Hospitals are corporations now, and they have insurance they pay, and it's a whole system.
Yeah.
That,
If we
I'm not
all
sure how
could
we'll
just get on the
change.
same page of really wanting to make a difference, which is what our show is about.
Yeah.
So helping
Tie
more
in.
people, right?
I agree.
How can we do that? So with that in mind, that's one of the things that we kind of like to focus on is how do we give back to the community?
Yes.
So how are you making changes in your community? Is there any organizations that you like to give your time or your support to or monetary donations?
Yes.
What is there that
The
you do?
main group I go to is FSOMA. FSOMA is the Organization for Oriental Medicine Practitioners. And we meet about once a month, and we have outreach to get the word out, to give people the knowledge of the options. You know, we have business classes. I'm putting on one the 21st of May for other acupuncturists so they can learn how to, manage an office, because you don't learn that in school.
Sure.
There's just no time.
Right.
So you want to make the acupuncturist as profitable as possible, and then get the patients know we're here for you. Here we are. This is our location. We can help you. And that's the main group, FSOMA. That's the one. We have an Instagram page. It's out there. You can find it pretty easy.
Well, we can put all the links in the show notes. Yeah, of course.
He's thinking.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it. That's my main group.
That's cool.
That is cool. That's a win for the doctors and the patients too.
Yeah, and to let people know they have a different option. That's what this is all about. This month, the whole theme, alternative med, we've talked about salt therapy.
Yeah.
We, chiropractic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we're talking to you, and we're going to have a functional med doctor.
Excellent.
Next
Shout out to the Salt Room. It's a great place. I'm over there.
Awesome.
Great place.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to just educate people that if you're fed up or if you're at your wit's end, right? Because that's usually when they seek out alternative medicine. Did you find
That's
that?
when I did it. When I was just, you've taken all the medicine they've told you to take for 3 months, and
Yeah, and you have that story.
Me too.
You
Me
were
too.
physical
I
therapy,
had to
and you're
get-
like, let me just try something that somebody recommended.
I had to get to the end of the rope, and I was just like, you know what? I'll try anything. And it was the right thing.
yeah.
That's
By
awesome.
accident.
What I love about this is it seems like people that are skeptical, and I may have mentioned this in our last episode, but people that are skeptical, like myself, initially of this, it seems like almost every time someone actually does real research or tries it, it literally seems like 100% of the time they change their mind.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
the best way.
Right.
And if they have to be a little patient, right?
Of course.
Because sometimes it does. Your case was like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You felt 25% better the first time, right?
Right.
And then you were, 6 or 8 weeks, you said, and you
Oh,
had
yeah.
almost like a
Months.
full. Yeah.
Looks like 8 months for me. I was pretty
Oh.
banged up.
Well, but with your acupuncture, you were 6 or 8 weeks went before you were feeling a lot better, right?
Yeah. Well, I find that the best way to tamper expectations, to tell everybody, it took you like 5 years to mess yourself up. Give me 5 weeks.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's a little tough sell. Today's society, everything's kind of like faster these days, right?
Yes.
That's exactly where you were going with it, Anjee.
Yes. Be patient.
Be patient. Yes. Listen to Anjee. Talk to your acupuncturist. Get a 5 to 6 week plan.
Yeah.
Give them the time, and you'll see the result.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome.
That's a very good point, too, because we're so used to, in Western medicine, we take the pill, we look at our watch, 30 minutes later, we feel better. And that's,
And this is amazing. It's taking everything away. And
I'm
4 hours later, you're right back to the start, right?
Right. And I'm sort of kind of exaggerating or joking, but this is what she had to kind of teach me about with some health issues I had last year is it's going to take a little while for this to work versus what you're used to with something that's just going to make you feel better temporarily and not really resolve the issue.
Very true.
So I think patience is a huge point there.
It is.
That is.
It is. And it will be worth it because things like acupuncture and chiropractic, they help your body heal the right way.
Yes.
The way it's supposed to. And that does take time. Healing is an up and down process, right? So you're going to have some peaks where you feel great. Then you're going to have a dip where you don't feel so good.
Very true.
It's like this little roller coaster ride for a little while.
Yeah.
So just, be patient, give it some time, promise that it will pay off for you in the end.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, where can everyone find you? Do you have like a website, phone number, information you want to share with us?
The main place that I'm practicing, the new big fancy place, is the Meraki Wellness and Med Spa. We're in Altamonte Springs, and it's Meraki Wellness and Medspa.com, or you can find us on Instagram like everybody else these days.
Right.
Yes.
Or you can just find me at healthyleopard.com. Same thing on Instagram, at healthyleopard. That's the best way to find me. And come check me out. If you can't get to me, get to another acupuncturist.
Awesome. So we'll put the links to that you described, any of your contact information that you want us to put on the show notes, as well as our website. I have to ask, though.
Of course.
Healthy Leopard. Is it because you're a big Def Leppard fan?
Well, a little bit. Odd story. People always ask. This is the number one question I get everywhere I go.
Really?
Marketing meetings, patients, other acupuncturists. And they think it's like, it's going to be a really awesome story. And it's very practical. I wanted to get a website. So I was like, let's see what no one else has.
Oh, you know what? I can relate to that. Is that really why it is?
So here's how it started. I Googled a list of positive sounding words.
Right.
And I was like, happy, healthy. Yeah. That makes sense. Then I was like, what's an animal people associate with Western and Eastern medicine together?
Oh, wow.
I was going to go with like panda. There's 1,000 healthy pandas,
I
golden
bet.
pandas. Like, there's 1 billion pandas. And I was just like, tiger, panda, turtle. I was like, leopard. Type. Domain is available. I'm like, we're a healthy
Sold.
leopard.
Oh, that's
Done.
You know what?
And then kind of took on a life of its own. And that's like the thing now.
Well, it sounds like it's almost a silly way until you say that you're trying to find an animal that connects both Eastern and Western medicine, because that's very clever.
Yeah.
That's
is
pretty
real
good.
clever.
Years ago, I had with some buddies, I had a movie review site called lizardmotion.com, which is it was the only domain. It was like the worst choice ever for a movie review site. But that's pretty cool, actually, that the way you found yours and what, the thought you put into it. Yeah.
All right. Well, very cool. Thank you so much for joining us for your
thanks
very
for having
first
me.
podcast.
Yeah,
This was
first
great.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was good. And anytime you want me back, let me know. 'Cause
We
this
definitely
was
will.
A cool experience.
Oh, thank
Awesome.
you. Yeah, we'd love to have you back on. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
we plan on, we want this to be fresh in people's minds.
Of
So
course.
even though we got lots of ideas, we plan on doing this, probably at least once a year.
Yeah.
Just to remind people,
Yeah.
hey, here's an alternative.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And it'll be bigger next time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be in a studio, set up, be all fancy.
What do you mean? We're in a studio.
Let's say
now.
this
Well, I
is
mean-
pretty nice right now.
Yeah, it is. Actually, this is a pretty nice studio.
I mean, look at all the little tiny cars way down there in the city.
Oh, I see him.
Everybody knows us.
Yeah, I know.
Come on. All right.
But
very
yes,
cool.
thank you so much. This has been
No
great,
problem,
and
no problem.
we really appreciate you coming on. And we'll definitely chat with you again at some point. We're doing the reoccurring themes every month, and we're excited to have you back at some point. That'd be great.
Awesome.
And we'll be back with our information station in just a few minutes.
This is Dr. Christina Queller with Revival Chiropractic, and you're listening to It's All Fine and Anjee.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is time for the information station.
You want me to put like an echo on that from now on?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
something.
cool?
Or no, a little choo-choo train in the back. I told you, I like that
nice.
little choo-choo train sound.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's right. So information station, of course, is theme related. So it's all about alt med still. And Dr. Omar Haye was just on talking about acupuncture.
His name is Omar Haye. She wasn't saying hey, but you know that because you just heard the interview. It was like you were like, his name is Omar Haye.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding, but it kind of sounded like that.
it kind of does when you say it back to me. Yeah. So Dr. Omar had some really great information to share. I looked up some really cool information because I took the principles of acupuncture class and a couple other classes revolving around traditional Chinese medicine.
Yes.
And one of the things I found really interesting was that in traditional Chinese medicine, they believe that the body has this internal clock.
Right.
Kind of like people know about the circadian clock where it's their sleep cycle. But this is about this internal clock tells your body when to perform certain activities, like when you're going to eat, when you're going to sleep, when you're going to exercise. But it also helps to tell the organs and the meridians in your body, which are those channels of energy that flow through the body,
Right.
what to do at certain times of the day. So there will be a link on our website for this because check this out. It's super interesting stuff. But the two that I found really super interesting were that of the endocrine system and the liver. So, for example, the endocrine system, which is also called in traditional Chinese medicine, the triple heater.
Really? It's weird.
Yeah. It's why, right? But from 9 to 11 p.m. is when the endocrine system is kind of like restoring and rejuvenating itself. And that's when it's recommended to sleep during that time so that you can set your body back in balance and conserve energy for the next day.
Between 9 and 11 p.m.?
9 and 11.
So most of us go to bed after.
We do. And even in Western medicine, it's recommended that you get to bed by 10 p.m. at night. So this is something.
Something to it.
There's something to it. There's a science behind it. And this is also a time when enzymes in your body are replenished. So Chinese medicine, Western medicine, this is something they agree on, that bedtime should be between 9 and 11 p.m. So
Wow.
I thought that was super interesting. And it also goes along with the yin and yang. Yin, I never say it right. I always say yang. What is
Yang.
it?
It's yin yang.
No, it's yang is actually how
yang?
you say it. Yes, it's
So all of
yin
us-
and yang.
Okay.
I learned that because I got corrected. So it goes along with the yin-yang theory of balance, right? That is all about balance. Yin is actually represents night,
Right.
and that's the time to relax, to digest, and to sleep. And yang is, no, he's not yang, it's yang. Stop.
I know you're right. I'm just so used to yang.
is represented as daytime.
Right.
And that's the time when you're more active, right? That's when you eat the majority of your food. That's when you do exercise or when you're working.
Right.
So
It makes sense.
I thought that was super interesting how it goes along with that whole balance of when you're supposed to do those two things.
Yeah.
Then the other super interesting one, I'm really big on the liver and detoxing because obviously we've kind of done that in our household with the way we're eating, right? And from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. is when the liver is kind of doing its rest and relaxation. And it's actually doing work too. So this is when toxins are released and when fresh new blood is made in the system. So one of the things that was interesting is it brought up that waking during these hours could mean that you have an excess in your yang or issues with your liver or with actual detoxification. So it means the liver's not functioning properly.
Waking between 1 and 3 regularly.
Waking regularly between 1 and 3. Yes, it would be a regular thing.
Right.
And then I thought about, it also said that these hours are associated with rage, anger, and frustration. And I thought think about when like people are out on the town and they're drinking, right? What time do bars close? About 2 a.m.
Right.
That's when a lot of potential violent crimes happen.
Yeah, but don't you think those are alcohol related?
They are, but the liver should be resting and detoxing at that time, and it's not doing
so it's
that.
even worse.
So it's even worse. That's
I
right.
gotcha.
So I was kind of putting like 2 and 2 together on that.
That's
I don't
interesting. Well, so I have said this before this month, and I am historically and have historically been a skeptic of a lot of alternative medicine until we really started getting into it. Mm-hmm. I'm a very scientific and research-based person about everything. And acupuncture specifically is one of those things that I 100%, I don't believe that it works. I know that it works. I have been through it myself, but it's funny. It's like I was telling Dr. Haye that, did I say his last name right?
You did.
Hey. I was telling Dr. Haye that it seems like everyone that is introduced to acupuncture, now I know this isn't the scientific number, but it seems like anyone that actually has an experience with it, like he was talking about, vets and people that are a lot of the time, a lot more skeptical about things like that, or at least in the Western culture.
Yes.
There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of you being a baby about it. Work it out. You need stitches. You need medicine. You need surgery. And he was talking about how they put the pins in their ears, and it's helping them with PTSD and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Well, so I've had my own experience with it, but there's a story that I wanted to share. As you know, I'm a giant Apple nerd.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Scott Forestall. He used to be an executive with Apple. He was one of the leads in iOS. That's the operating system on your iPhone, your iPad for the non-nerdy people. And he left the company after Apple Maps kind of botched. The whole launch of Apple Maps was a botched thing. And anyway, there was some controversy and he left. But just recently, within the past year, he was talking about Steve Jobs. And he said that Steve Jobs was very difficult to work with, but he was very passionate. And he told some sort of sarcastic stories. But Scott said that his kids were in preschool or first grade or kindergarten or whatever, and a stomach virus went around. Mm-hmm. Everyone was throwing up for a day or so, and then they were good. He finally caught it about a week later, and it started out the same with him throwing up every hour. But instead of it getting better, it got worse until he was throwing up every 15 minutes. And he did that for a week, and he couldn't eat. It might have been 2 weeks. When that short amount of time, he lost 30 pounds.
Holy
it might have been a month. I don't remember the time frame, but by the time he got to 30 pounds and he still couldn't keep anything down, not even liquid, he went to the hospital. They admitted him right away. I'll cut to the chase here, but they tried everything. They even gave him the stuff like cancer patients have to keep you from getting nauseous from radiation. He couldn't keep anything down, not even water. This went on. They put a feeding tube in him. He was getting smaller,
weaker.
He was throwing up every 5 minutes. He said he would grab his finger and consider breaking it just so he could focus on pain instead of feeling nauseous again. Steve Jobs called him every day, but the bigger point is Steve Jobs called him one night at around 9:30 and said, "I'm coming to the hospital. I'm bringing the best acupuncturist in the world with me." And there's a little joke conversation they had about, well, they're not going to let you in that late. They're not going to let a doctor in that doesn't work here, especially an alternative medicine doctor.
Of course.
Steve Jobs made a joke about, well, if I get stopped, I'll dedicate a wing. But he came. And
he would have.
He probably would have. But the most impressive part of the story, aside from the sort of friendship between them, was when she came in with him, the acupuncturist, Scott said to her, do I have to believe in this for it to work? Because I don't know that I do. She said, I'm going to manipulate the involuntary way that your nervous system and everything works, period. So she didn't care what he believed.
Yeah.
And they started putting needles in his back and in his head right away. He said within the first 30 minutes, he was hungry, stopped getting nauseous, and he was hungry. They did that all night with the pins. She kept moving him around. Then they left. Then they came back the next day. Meanwhile, he's not thrown up once.
Wow.
He was he was released from the hospital the very next day. He was home for a couple days, still no nauseous. Steve and the chiropractor, almost said, Steve and the acupuncturist came to his house, did that again for him a few times. Long story short, within 2 or 3 days of leaving the hospital, he was eating fresh bread that his mom had made. The day after he left the hospital, the nurse came and took the the tube out.
Yeah.
Said it's the fastest that she's ever been able to do that. So he says Steve Jobs 100% saved his life because the doctors were actually telling him, I probably should have said this part, you need to get things right with your family because they
couldn't figure it out.
It was to that point he was going to die, and acupuncture 100% fixed it by sort of rewiring his what's the word again?
Qi is what they would say.
But even though the virus stops the stomach from working at all.
Yeah, it stops the peristalsis, the movement probably or the digest. I mean, really anything, because once the movement stops, it probably just, messed everything up. Wow.
I thought that was crazy.
Are you going to put a link to that story?
I will. I'll put a link to the interview.
People don't hear that, and this guy,
he was a skeptic too. This is what I love about it. He was a skeptic, and Steve Jobs was admittedly into weird. He walked around at work barefooted and things or whatever. And I love Apple, but he was.
That's not weird though. There's actually a science behind that too.
He wasn't into bathing either, and everyone had trouble with it. But nothing but respect for Steve Jobs. You know that I'm a total nerd for all that stuff. But I
thought an amazing story
for someone who's such a skeptic. Think about that. Who thinks, well, I'm probably going to die. No matter what he thought, she still did it anyway. And she basically manipulated his involuntary system to where it just fixed. And the results were really fast in this case. So I love that story because it's just crazy impressive.
That is crazy. Yeah, you have to put a link so people can watch that for themselves.
Yep.
Hear it from his own word or from his own mouth. How do you say that?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I wanted to shout out these guys over at Central Florida Cabinet Supply.
Yep.
So I started painting our cabinets, and I needed a different color of this same paint. And I didn't want to order it and wait, right?
Because you ordered the first batch online, yeah.
So I searched the website, General Finishes, and went on there and found that there was a place right down the road. And I'm like, where's this place? I went over there. Forgive me, guys, for not remembering all of your names. I don't remember any of them. That's horrible.
You were probably in a rush to get your stuff.
Well, no, I was chatty. The guys in there trying to sell me these fancy machines, which I would totally use because I like using those fancy machines.
Right.
But anyway, they were super helpful. All I bought was a can of paint, but they gave me all sorts of advice on, what to put in your cabinet for the little rollouts and everything. So if anybody is not a do-it-yourselfer,
here.
Go there. Well, they do have do-it-yourself stuff, and I'm sure they sell to contractors and stuff, but super helpful over there. They're located at 2617 Pemberton Drive in Apopka, or you can reach them at 407-292-3644.
And that's Central Florida Cabinet Supply?
Central Florida Cabinet Supply. You can check out their website too. But they were awesome.
That's great. I'm glad they helped you. And it's nice to shout them out.
Yeah.
And while we're shouting out numbers, I'm going to shout out 407-490-3899, which is our number.
I know that number.
Yes. I don't have it memorized yet. But so that's 407-490-3899, or email us at feedback@fineandangie.com. We're starting to get more emails, which is great. I would love to get more voicemails. We have very few of those. I think people like to email. I'm the other way around.
It's more convenient.
I've called into like Brian Tong's Apple Bits podcast, and
guys, call in so we can play you.
Yeah, so we can play your voicemail. And I know we said we were going to do that before, and we didn't play some of them because of time crunches. But I will make time for it.
Yeah,
if you call in and we've got some good, clear voicemails, I think that'd be
make sure you speak clearly because otherwise it sounds muffled.
Right. So also, if you call or email, if you don't know what you would call or email about, because we're excited to hear from you about anything, we would also like to hear your thoughts and questions and suggestions about the show. If you have issues that you want to discuss, then let us know about that.
Yeah.
I feel like the gopher on Winnie the Pooh. It seems like every time I say
a little bit.
Show. Anyway, you can find us on all social media at Fine and Danjee. That's DANJEE. And
Yeah. And as always, I know we ask it every week, but rate, review, and subscribe if you get a chance.
Yes, please rate and review, especially review.
If you like us,
yes,
just go ahead and do it.
We would appreciate that.
Yep.
The more reviews we get, the more we get noticed.
And we got our amount of likes that we wanted to get to. on our Facebook page.
200?
Yeah, we got to 200. We were like watching it grow. We were excited. And the great thing about the podcast, you guys, is you can listen to us anytime. You know, you
That's a good
listen
point.
anytime, and you can pause it and go back and listen. Take us in the car with you. You know,
Yeah.
listen, see what's going on.
That's how I listen to podcasts,
That's
in little
right.
chunks.
Because it'll pick up right where you left off when you
Yep.
get back in the car. So this week, guys, I encourage you, while you're out and about, while you're going through your busy week, to walk your talk. I know we usually do the hashtag walk the talk,
That's right.
but what is it to you that you want to do, right? So think about a goal or something you've been telling yourself that you want to do. Like we've been saying, we want to get out in the community more.
Yep.
And that's why you said hashtag walk the talk.
Or exercise.
Or
more.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So walk your talk this week.
Yep.
That's what I want to encourage
I
everybody
love
to
it.
do.
To me, walk the talk is like put your money where your mouth is.
That's right.
People say walk the walk sometimes or talk the talk, but I think walk the talk, it means I've been saying this, but I've not really been doing it, so I'm not really walking the talk. So that's
Yeah.
what we're saying. And I love that, encouraging people to kind of invent their own or think about what they've been talking about and
Yeah.
have they really been doing it.
Or even if they haven't verbally said it, sometimes we're thinking things in our head.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be a self-improvement thing. It could be something you want to do to help others, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just take some action.
I love it. It's great advice. And also, I'd like to give a little advice on the way out, and that is to be willing to accept help, as I mentioned last time, really in whatever form it may come. It could be advice from someone. It could be someone telling you to walk the talk. It could be just a kind word or an offer. And this is someone giving you a kind word or an offer to lend a helping hand. That's you accepting help from someone when they offer to a helping hand to you. You know, the help sometimes may not come in the form that you think you need, but you never know what may come from it. I am saying this because that is a walk I am trying to walk from a talk I am doing right now, because I have not been very good at that. So I'm trying to, now that I'm saying you guys should do it, now I'm trying to walk the talk because it relates to that.
Self-improvement. We can always get better and do
Forever.
things.
When you're
That's right.
95, you know,
That's
I think
right.
when you stop thinking that you can improve is when you stop growing, really.
Yeah,
So-
it is.
All right, and here we go with the drum roll. But as we say every episode, at the end of the day, remember,
It's all fine and dandy.
Sorry.
Stop.
I'm trying so hard.
Hey, don't stop. Stop.
I'm sweating.
5 seconds.